Brothers and sisters, I need your attention. As I speak and the spiritual essence of the Most High vibrates through my soul, I know that we see the oppression and that we have defined our opposition and given it a color. Brother, you may call it the man. Sister, you may call it the system. Whatever it is, we all agree it's white. But be clear, when we make the opposition anything outside of ourselves, we begin to miss me, the spirit. I am is you, and I lives in every vessel walking this earth as the word in action. Peace, family. Welcome back to another episode of the Poetry Corner here on L.E.A.D TV, where poets come and delve into a deep conversation about themselves and their poetry. Today's show will feature a poet that has written his very own book entitled Memoirs of a Genius that can be found online at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and at Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, Georgia. Family, I introduce to you all the poet, Kendall Fire. What's going on, my brother? How you doing, brother? You good, man? Good, man. Good to have you with us today. We're going to get right into it, man. We're going to delve into your background. We know you're from the South Side, Riverdale to be exact. Yeah. So what we're going to do is just go into kind of a background of growing up in Riverdale. So Riverdale has a lot of crime, miseducation, has some poverty there. So how has living in such an environment contributed to your growth in the manhood?
Yeah. I personally think that being from that area, it just makes you more resourceful. And as a man, that's something that is something you need. When you in the clutch, what they call it, that's one thing that we fascinated with, being in the clutch situations. Mm-hmm. When you with your back against the wall, your kid's hungry, your woman needs something, what can you come up with to not only make everything happen, but also that won't take too much resource or something that works efficiently? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like being grown up poor, that helped a lot. You might have woke up with no lights. You had to get dressed at the door. You had to figure something out. May not have a cell phone back then, but if I open my blinds a little bit, moonlight, something, you know what I'm saying? Something, you just have to be resourceful. And as far as like crime and stuff, it kind of, in my opinion, it makes you think faster when you're surrounded by crime, because you never know when you're gonna be in a situation where you have to get yourself out of some crime, or if you are a person who is already in crime, where you got to get yourself into some positive situations. Right. So it's like, I feel like that's why a lot of people from the city, because it's surrounded by crime, you hear the term that they move to the country and it's slow for them. You know what I'm saying? I feel like being surrounded by crime just kind of makes you think faster, and that put in with the resourcefulness of being poor, I feel like that I wouldn't want to say I would recommend someone go through that to get these resources. If you can do them by other means, by all means, but I do feel like those two things are things that really help as far as becoming a man and going into manhood.
Okay, now you got a close-knit family. Yeah. How did that contribute to like creating a foundation where you necessarily didn't have to go through certain experience that other people, fall victim to?
Right. And it's crazy because that's a question, because just yesterday I was talking to two of my friends about the difference between what we call a hood person or a hood nigga or someone from the hood. And
break that down.
And I just wanted to say, I remember I was in college. It's a lot of egos, in the room. Wow. So my friend, he told me, he was like, you like that Andre verse, you know what I'm saying? You're not a hood nigga, you a nigga from the hood. So I was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm a hood nigga, I'm about it. Fast forward years later when I started getting a little more conscious, I'm like, you know what? I'm not a hood nigga. It's some things that hood niggas do that don't sit well with me and that I would never do. Right, okay. For one example I gave, selling cocaine. I would never sell cocaine to another black person, because for one, I know you about to make crack with it. You gonna make crack, you gonna sell it to other black people. I wouldn't delve in the cocaine business because of the detriment it's already caused our community. Hood niggas don't care. People from the hood don't care, or people who are a product of that environment. I'm just surrounded by it. So I feel like that's a huge difference. And I feel like my mom was a teacher. My dad he worked in the schools too. He was a coach for Kendrick, track coach. His parents were teachers. His mom, he was adopted. His other mom, his real mom, biological, she was in defects. My mom's a teacher, her mom, her aunt. So it's like having that foundation of people being teachers and people being around just the village mentality of taking a village to raise a kid. My mom was pretty much of the attitude of whatever works is we gonna get done. So if a teacher came to her and made her embellish her story a little bit, she like, well, I know she probably can't handle black kids in her class anyway, but you know that you ain't supposed to be acting like that. So you still in trouble, even though I know half of what she's saying is hoopla, but some of it's truth because I know my son. So it was I didn't have a lot of wiggle room. She would hold me accountable at a young age. So I grew up always being held accountable. I didn't get money for grades because it's like, that's what you're supposed to do.
I got the same shit. I got the same
so
thing.
It's like, that's what you're supposed to do. So that really helped me. My mom being a teacher and my dad being, even though he wasn't a teacher, he still volunteered in the community. And I also want to say that my parents got divorced when I was 18. No matter how, I found out a lot of stuff about the marriage after, of course, but no matter how bad of a husband he seemed to be, I can never say that my dad wasn't a good dad. Mm-hmm. My dad was always there for me. He coached me in baseball when I was younger. He missed some band performances here and there, but he was at every game. You know, he knew y'all's names on the football field because he was at every Riverdale game because I was in the band. Right. So he'd be side coaching like, hey, why he on the looking at me? I'm like, Dad, I'm in the performance. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he cared about me. So I can't. That's one. Also, me having my father present is something that I was blessed to have because it wasn't until I was a senior in high school I looked around like, dang, it's me, Brittany Johnson, and Naisha Appleby. We was the only ones whose parents were still, by the time we got to seniors, still together.
Yeah, that is true. And then I seen that too. Now, my parents weren't together while I was in high school and everything. They divorced. I was probably like 8. Yeah. But I lived with my dad from 13 to 18. And so being at Riverdale, I had, all the people coming to the crib and everything like that. And they see it was just me and my dad. And they seen the relationship that we had. And most people I seen didn't have that experience. They had that relationship where they could sit, talk to their dad. My dad come and sit around and school and everybody that's around and everything. Yeah. So, that can really help, especially in the environment that, we grew up in, being in Riverdale, that would naturally be someone you would need around you. You will need a father, right?
That man presence
that man presence would really help. Because I know my dad kept me out of a lot of stuff. He would say, see that apartment complex right there? Don't go in there. I don't care what you do. Something telling me, don't go in there. I remember about a week later, somebody got stabbed up in there. Yeah. I was like, boy, I never go in there. And I never stepped foot in there. I don't care. I'm walking home. I wouldn't cut through it. I'd just take the long route. I would just never go through it for some reason. Matter of fact, it was the same ones T.I. that you stay in, Red's Crossing. He was like, don't go in there. Don't go in there. And I just listen to him. So that guidance right there helps, especially being in the hood or an environment like that. So my dad kept me out of a lot of issues like that. So I'm sure your dad, your mom,
my dad being there, just my dad being there in presence helped a whole lot.
A whole lot, yeah. Same for me. Now, being in Riverdale and experiences that we'll go through, or other people went through, I have those experiences, whether you heard them or experienced them yourself, contributed to like your poetry.
That's a good one. I think personally, my poetry represents the struggle. I can write about anything. Love, conscious stuff, education, you know what I'm saying? I can write about anything. But one thing that's consistent in my poetry is the element of struggle. Mm-hmm. And I feel like growing up like that and in that environment, even though I was sheltered from a lot of stuff, I still was not far removed, as they say, like one step removed from it. Like I was in a real bad neighborhood. I might not be outside after a certain time, but I go to school and my friends like, man, I know you heard them gunshots and all. I'm like, that was y'all. I think it's tripping, you know what I'm saying? But it's like me having that struggle in my life and growing up in poverty and not necessarily doing like drug dealing, doing all that stuff, gangbanging, but being around it, it taught me struggle. And that's an element that I just in my poetry, even if I'm writing a poem about a river, It's gonna be a beautiful river at one point, but it's gonna be tumultuous at one point too. It's gonna be some kind of struggle in there, and I think that's what gives it kind of the essence of Kendall Fire poetry. That's what I'm an Aries fire sign. You know that's a part of it. So I feel like the passion that's in that, me growing up and trying to figure out a way to come out of the struggle, that's coming out in a lot of my poems and a lot of my bars.
Now, you take your poetry and you've been able to create a book. Right. Now, give us a background into that book and, when it was published.
Basically, the book was published in November of 2014, November 20-something, I want to say. But the book, actually a member of the cast from episode 1, was Khalida episode 1?
Yeah, she was episode 1.
That's who started me on poetry, actually. And it's funny, we had an assignment my junior year in Miss Carver's class. We had to write a poem. And she read mine, she was like, oh, this is good. You know what I'm saying? I do this, you know what I'm saying?
But everybody kind of touches each other.
So she was like, you know what I'm saying? You should do this. So I'm like, all right. She was like, whenever because we rode the same bus, so we'll be talking to each other, whatever. So she'll be like, yo, whenever you get like you be telling me when you write. And so I started to write. So a lot of my poems from Memoirs of a Genius are poems I wrote from the beginning. Like my first poem, the first poem in there is the first poem I ever wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like the process actually took me years because I went through a major writer's block when I was in Albany. I wasn't writing nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because my mindset really wasn't focused on that. It was focused on a whole bunch of other BS. But I wasn't writing. When I got back to Clayton, I started back writing, and basically it's a compilation of the poems that I had started and the process of, that's why it's called, it's the memoirs, because it's like the memories of me, and it's like a compilation of my journey throughout, and how you can look at one person's journey and you can interpret it the same way or a different way in your own way and be like, man, I went through this same stuff, but we lived in 2 different places, 2 different lives. He's a boy, I'm a girl, and this stuff is applying to me. So, and that's where that element of struggle also comes. So it's like just the process was something that was really respecting the process. Because like I said, it technically took me 6+ years to write the book.
To write the book.
Right. But the getting it out there in 2014, that was big for me, because it was a point in time where I was literally printing out folding them, using rubber cement. Using my own binding them myself. You know what I'm saying? Right. My girl actually got a copy of one of the books. I should have brought it so y'all can see it, but it was only 6 of those ever made. But
right, keep them.
Yeah,
that's some 50 years from now. Look.
For
this
real.
Ancient text right here.
Ancient text.
You know.
Yeah,
that's good right there.
Yeah, it came out November 2014, and the second one, it's been kind of a difficult struggle having to work and chase dreams. So it's like it's been a little bit of hope, but the second was all the way done. I'm just going through finishing up editing. I wanted this one to be less stream of conscious and more story. Like this one kind of tells a story. You know what I'm saying? So trying to get all the poems in the correct order. Should be out this year, though, for sure. So
okay, I want to catch something before we go to a break. So with the next book that you're trying to do, you're going to use poetry, different poems, but have them run simultaneously and actually tell a story.
Yeah, something like that.
Now, something like that would be good. I haven't seen anything like that, so we're going to have to make sure that we follow that and see. Yeah, that's a good idea right there. So I lived in Riverdale, Georgia from 2005 to 2010. Graduated from Riverdale High School. I met some really great people, been around some great coaches and teachers, but without the foundation provided by my father during this time in my life, I may have gone down a path many young men and women in that city fall victim to. All in all, it's all about growth and family. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome to Name This Poet. Which poet's music helped engender later music genres such as hip-hop and neo-soul? Was it A. Gil Scott-Heron, B. Saul Williams, or C. James Baldwin? The answer is A. Gil Scott-Heron. Gil Scott-Heron's most well-known recording, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, has been influential across generations and has inspired many great MCs and has been referenced in many hip-hop songs. Stay tuned for more of Name This Poet.
Where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? I try to remain patient, but I grow weary of waiting when disdain and hatred are so prevalent and blatant. Every mind can be enslaved, yet every mind cannot be saved. Where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? The strength of my ancestors? Those who survived the trade across the wave and was thrown in chains and caged, and by the man from the cave. The ultimate price paid, marked by unmarked graves, entire family trees set ablaze. And may that price turn to wealth, and may that stamp on this world, though inked in blood, never fade. Where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? My efforts grow weary, I see my vision clearly and liberation dearly. Does my beloved generation hear me? I represent change so they fear me, and I am not the cross so they do not walk near me. And where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? My faith is far from diminished, and my work far from finished. And though I did not witness, the thought of my ancestors' sickness allows me with the quickness my hope replenished before the end of this sentence. So where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? Within. To my soul is the place where I send the prayer. Because God is within, just as certain as the end at the end of begin, just as certain as the uncertain end.
That was a poem written and performed by Kendall Fire, entitled Motivation. It is a must that we delve into a conversation about this poem and see what Kendall has to say about various elements contained within this poem. Now, Kendall, the first thing that stood out to me was the rhyme scheme that you had within the poem. So break that down for us.
Yeah, one thing about me is I'm more so of a writer than a spoken word artist.
Okay.
I really love, like, that's what I do. The writing is what I do. If I was ever getting the music industry, I wouldn't be a rapper, I'd be a ghostwriter.
Okay.
So as far as the rhyme scheme, to me is really, really important to have things that engage the reader, where you have to, in spoken word, I can just say the words faster if I want to.
Okay.
And with the poem, with writing, if I want the reader to, in this part, speed up a little bit, I have to make the rhyme scheme, like in the second stanza when I said, sold across the wave, and something like that. Sold across the wave to the man in the cave, and
right.
I wanted them on that part. If you look at it, it's no commas on that part, and each sentence is ending, and they're shorter, kind of. So it's making you read it. If you're reading it, it's like, I gotta hurry up and get to.
Right, I see exactly what you're saying.
So the rhyme scheme is very important, and that's one thing that with this one, I want to be one thing that I try to focus on is having smaller. People don't like to read nowadays, so I want my words to be potent more so than anything, so I can have a short poem that means a lot. And rhyme scheme really has a lot to do, because if for no other thing, it engages the reader. Where do I find the motivation to lead my people? Nah. Where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? It kind of just rolls off the tongue, and that's something that I want the reader to walk away and they like, in their mind, they don't even know they're thinking, where do I find the motivation to lead a nation? Mm-hmm. and it's kind of like a jingle in their
Right,
head.
exactly. I can see that the rhyme scheme helps them, just like a song. Remember and catch on. They may be walking one day, and it's the lines from the poem playing in their head.
Exactly.
I can see that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bates of Journey Family Chiropractic. Here at our office, we use a whole self approach to your care. What that means is we use chiropractic care, nutrition, and exercise. With this, it creates a healthy body, spirit, and mind. Here at Journey Family Chiropractic, our goal is to help you accomplish a quality state of health. At Journey Family Chiropractic, I see a range of different people, but I specialize in the care of women and children. As a woman and a mom, I know the problems women endure, from pregnancy to difficulty losing weight. With chiropractic care, we allow the body to heal itself with what is called adjustments. Journey Family Chiropractic can help you reach your full potential, so book your appointment today. You can get 50% off your first visit. Call 678-333-7919 or visit our website at www.journeyfamilychiro.com.
Now, in your poem, you speak about the knowledge of our ancestors. And you speak about is the strength to lead a nation coming from what you know about your ancestors. Now, how can we be motivated by the strength of our ancestors?
I think just acknowledging the fact that our ancestors are in everything that we touch, just for the simple fact that we touched it. I think a lot of times we, as conscious folks, well, I've tried hard to get out of this but we try too hard to reach at a certain what we deem worthy person who we're trying to be.
Right.
When your ancestors are already in you. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to try. You just have to, like we were talking about earlier, be yourself, knowledge of self. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the knowledge of the ancestors, it's important to know that it's always with us. You remember this from high school?
Right.
I just saw Lupita, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Lupita. She said that's some ancient African stuff, bro.
Oh, right. And we don't even know that.
We didn't even know. Right. We've been doing this since we was children. Mm-hmm. Before we was woke, we roasted. Oh, and it means the same thing. It's an exclamation. Oh, yeah. Stop that. You talking to your kids. Stop that.
Okay.
So it's like.
It's in the DNA. It's in the blood.
It's in us already.
Yeah, already.
And we just have to realize that. And the sooner we realize that, and I feel like that's with when you get the people getting to the point where they're like, I am a God. It's not something that's cocky. You've gotten to the point where you realize, even if I do something that's flawed, my ancestors might touch something that was flawed, but they just made sure that the next thing they did, you wasn't going to remember that flaw. They was going to make sure that, all right, I know what I did wrong in this one. I ain't. You just have to learn from your mistakes.
I think it's all about experience. Yeah. And then the same thing you said, our answer, they might have did something, it might seem a flaw, but the next time you're not going to see that because you learn from it. So the whole thing is about manifestation. So you're listening to that God within you. So it's only one God.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it's inside of you, and it's based on your experience, how you interpretate what the God inside of you is telling you, right? So you got that one God inside of you telling you something, and then you acting on it. But remember, you also pulling in information from outside of you, which distorts the information that's already in here. So then you may act on something in here. As soon as you start to manifest it, now outward energy is messing with it. So then when it come out, that shit was supposed to be a cube. That shit a circle. All right, I messed up because up here it was saying that, but I might have been rolling that ball, and I messed up. From something, I looked up real quick, looked back down, and I messed up. So something outside of you is impacting what the God inside of you is saying. So we're coming into that age now, again, just reawakening. And through that reawakening, we're saying that, okay, it's something inside of me that's been telling me I've been making all these mistakes. And I realized, God damn it, something told me not to turn this corner. Something told me not to talk to him. Somebody told me not to talk to him. That's the ancestor. That's the God in you telling you, hey, I'm here. I'm always with you. I'm always in your presence. If two or more are in there, I'm in the midst of it, right? So
I'm human. I'm a creator. I'm a mother. I'm beautiful. I could be you, but I have epilepsy. Do you look at me different now? Epilepsy lives matter.
Today has been such a great discussion filled with much light, a light that is divine. And now is the time that we bid you all adieu. But before we close, Kendall, can you tell the people how you can be reached for booking?
You can book me. You can find me on any social media platform. Instagram at Kendall Fire _4. Facebook, I'm a little private on Facebook, but Kendall Jackson, you should be able to search me. Twitter, I think it's Kennessy, like spelled with Hennessy, but with a K. Snapchat, Lamar Hutchison. Shout out to Riverdale. That's my Snapchat name, Lamar Hutchison. Email kenlj18@gmail.com. That'll probably be the best way if you're looking for bookings, you want me to perform or something, or if you are interested in buying a book. The book is available online. All you have to do is Google Memoirs of a Genius. I promise, first thing that comes up. You can buy it on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. It's in the Nubian store in Morrow, Georgia. One of 60 black bookstores in the nation. That's big. So I got my book in there.
Kendall, we here at L.E.A.D Media LLC, L.E.A.D TV, and the Poetry Corner. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing your progress, and we hope that you help lead a nation. Family, we hope that you have enjoyed episode 4 of the Poetry Corner. Kendall is a published author, and you can find his book, Memoirs of a Genius, online at Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, and also at the Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, Georgia. Tell a friend and tell that friend and tell a friend about the Poetry Corner, and to subscribe to L.E.A.D TV on YouTube. I am j.cole. Follow me on Instagram at j.bay_3rd eye, and follow L.E.A.D Media LLC on Instagram at L.E.A.D Media Company. We look forward to seeing you all next week as we air episode 5 of the Poetry Corner, featuring a poet, our brother, Corey Hill. Family, we leave you in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Peace.